Ooh, let's get juicy here. All right, let's go ahead and confront the elephant in the room. Now, obviously we all know that last week Apple released the dynamic island.
What's the move?
Very controversial topic. So some designers either loved it or you would just absolutely hate it. You think it's a UX nightmare. Now, let's give credit to where it's due. Now, the very first person that I saw sharing points around the dynamic island and why it's a failure was by Adam Dunaway. And Adam Dunaway is also from Sydney, Australia. He was actually an old colleague of mine, great friend, great guy, actually helped me get into the UX space very early on in my career. Now, I don't know if he was the original poster of these points, but very quickly I saw other people reposting what he had posted on other social platforms. Now, the two reasons why designers say it's a flaw and it's not a great feature is because first, where the dynamic island is situated, which is right at the top of your phone, they say when you're using your phone, your thumb can't quite reach it. It's located outside of the tappable area for where the thumb can reach. Now, the second point is that if you were constantly tapping the top of your phone on top of the camera, then there's going to be finger stains on your camera. Now, to be honest, fair point, and I think there are very valid arguments. So let's go ahead and dissect these problems, and I want to share with you what I genuinely think. So the first point around it's outside the tappable area for where the thumb is located. Now, on Instagram, there's a guy called UX Mars, shares some great content, and he made a post about this. And if I go to slide 4, there is a screen where he talks about the reason, which is the thumb zone. Now, according to Stephen Huber's research, don't know who that is, but sounds legit, 75% of users touch the screen with only one thumb. Now, there are 3 scenarios, as you can see, depicted on a diagram over here. 49% use their thumb, 36% use 2 hands, and 15% use 2 hands as well. Now, I don't quite understand the correlation between this because from my understanding of the data that's being represented, 51%, which is 36% plus 15%, use 2 hands, which means they are able to reach the tappable area. So as a whole, 51%, which is more than half of the population of people utilizing mobile devices, can reach the top of the phone.
And that's how we play handy hands.
That's how I interpret this data, and that's my understanding. Now, the second flaw, which is the tapping of the constant camera, I understand, and I think that's a very valid point. Now, if I show you my screen, there are a ton of marks on my phone already, and there are definitely some on the camera as well. But with a 1, 2, 3 wipe of the phone on my shirt, it's all gone. So I don't know if these 2 points render the fact that this feature is undesirable and it's a terrible and nightmare of a feature.
You are going to ruin that kid.
Now, I want to go ahead and share with you my honest thoughts around the dynamic island. So first, I think we need to take a step back and actually just not be too emotionally attached to these new features. I think we need to understand where Apple is positioned and how they are positioning themselves. Now, we always have to remember Apple is a market leader and they want to maintain that position. So if they are not exploring new innovations, not trying to push the boundaries and not trying to do new things that are going to delight and surprise their audience and their customers, then their competitors are going to right past them. So it's really important that Apple is constantly trying new things. For example, Amazon. Did you know that Amazon in 2017 launched Amazon Spark, which is very similar to Instagram, a visual way of shopping? Failed after 2 years, but that's very okay. In 2016, Amazon launched Amazon Restaurants, which is an Uber clone. Didn't work out, failed in 2 years as well. These market leaders in the industry are always going to be trying new things, and they have to launch version 1 for them to assess whether or not it's a viable business and whether or not they should continue innovating and pushing those boundaries. Now, the second point is that Amazon is a B2C. Now, obviously there is a B2B department and compartment within the business, but majority of their iPhone sales are really around consumers. And consumers just love to be inundated with new updates, shiny objects, and smooth transitions and things that really delight them. This is the marketing strategy that Apple is going down. If you have realized, Apple hasn't really launched anything new that's slick and really pushing the boundaries and really innovative. I would say the latest launches from Apple have been fairly underwhelming and quite stale. This, however, has been intended, and I honestly believe it's been intentional for them to really come out and delight the customers, bring a bit of a surprise, and really leads on to the next point, generate buzz around the iPhone once again. Can you imagine if they were constantly launching new iPhones every single year and they're jacking up the prices, but nothing new, nothing amazing, and nothing delightful about them is included with the new device? It's going to run out of fuel and people will start to get bored of the iPhone. Now, my last point is that Apple is a premium product. It's a premium brand. So for them, it's not just about launching products that people need, right? It's not just about the UX. Really, it's about building desirability. So for example, we all need to travel from A to B. And some people don't need a car and they're happy to go with a bus. Some people need a car because the travel distance is a little bit longer, but they're happy to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on a vehicle. However, some people need to get to A to B, but they want to travel the distance in a more premium vehicle, and they're happy to spend up to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on a vehicle. Right? So as you can see, when something is a necessity, it's a commodity and it's a need, it's very hard to price it in a way that keeps the business moving forward and keeps the business happy. However, if you are building a product or a brand that is desirable and it's a want, not just a need, which means it's a luxury and a privilege, then you have a lot more room to move in terms of pricing strategies, because people can perceive the brand and the product differently. And if you are constantly adding new features that are really pushing the envelope, that are delighting the customers, the sky is the limit and you can start to really move up the prices. If you notice, the iPhone now, the most basic model for the 14 is $800. And the only way that they are able to incrementally increase the price over the years is because they're launching new products, new features within the iPhone that make it desirable. It's not just a need now, it's a want. Now, in the end, I think Apple is doing a marketing play here. They're being very creative and they're being very strategic in what they're trying to do. Now, if you really think about it, I genuinely believe the effort required to create Dynamic Island was much less than the satellite in the phone itself. However, they've positioned these delightful features and updates for consumers, and they had a grand revealing. They had a dedicated promo ad just for this simple feature or update for the phone. But with the satellite, they talked about it, but it wasn't the grand reveal. So you can see that they are strategically positioning features that they know the customers will love and talk about to really boost and add more clout to the brand itself. Now, whilst in post-production and editing this video, I realized I mentioned it's just a marketing play. What I was meant to say is it's a marketing and a product positioning play. It's not about UX, it's not about following UX guidelines. It's really about how Apple is trying to connect with their customers and really prioritizing their marketing and their product initiatives and not just following UX guidelines. Because in the end, it's really okay to break UX guidelines. They are there as a general rule of thumb, but they should not determine whether or not you should launch a feature or you shouldn't. So let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, your honest thoughts about the Dynamic Island? Do you think it's great? Do you think it's a marketing play? Do you think it's terrible UX? I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in another video very soon.